AEW Collision was on the air from July the 1st. A very straightforward show, if we're being honest. Nothing really great happened. There was just a couple of good matches, one or two good angles, and that was about it. It didn't crap the bed like last week. It still just felt like hours 4 and 5 of Dynamite, you know? I'm just glad it didn't feel like Rampage anymore. So, all right, let's get into this show. A breakdown. So, MJF defeated some guy named Kip Morst, who apparently is from Hamilton, Ontario, where they decided to have this show, which has got to be a hole in the wall in Canada. I've never even heard of Hamilton, Ontario. Never heard of it. I mean, what would be the equivalent American city? Somewhere in Montana? Well, Ontario is a legit province because I think Toronto is in Ontario. So, yeah, I mean, it will be like, what? Lansing, Michigan, maybe? Like Buffalo, New York, maybe? I don't know. I've never heard of Hamilton, Ontario before in my life. It feels made up. Sounds made up. And MJF comes out wearing the American flag on his trunks because we must be petty heels. It is an absolute must. At all times, you must be a petty heel. He defeats this Kip Morse guy in like 32 seconds. He gets on the microphone and says that Canadians are white trash, didn't want to be there. It's supposed to be his day off. But since he is there, and since Hamilton is a gutter trash city filled with some of the worst losers in the entirety of Canada, he's willing to defend his championship against any guy from Hamilton right now, which seems oddly specific for a supposedly random open challenge. Some fat dude who probably has shoes that lean to the side kind of waddled out there. I have no idea where they found this winner. And then Ethan Page walked past the fat guy, says that he got this. Ethan Page gets in the ring. MJF is going to tell him he's not on his level when he smacks the microphone out of MJF's hands. So he forces MJF to stand there and listen to him cut his life story. To which he talks about MJF, doesn't think much of him, doesn't think that he's on his level, but that's what he's out here now to show everybody what cloth he is cut from. He starts talking about how his dad came from Macedonia. He was an immigrant. Everybody essentially told him to stay in his place. His dad went on to be a super successful person and showed him the way because of his dad, he is not a, quote, bare minimum bitch. He says that he's always there in AEW for the fans, and he's always there for AEW. He says his wife wondered when he would be paid back for all the extra work because he got called to do like promotions in Calgary, etc. And he says that he told his wife in all due time. And now is that time. He says, you are the AEW champion. I champion AEW. So then we get into the second match, which is MJF versus Ethan Page. So before we talk about the match itself, let's talk about this promo. I like Ethan Page's delivery when he comes out and says that he wants to show everybody the cloth that he's cut from. I like that. When he talked about his dad being an immigrant coming in and, hard work, and how that's the way that you make it in this business, and that's how you make it in the world, because Canada isn't quite the United States, but it has the same sort of generic Western belief that hard work can push you in the right direction, that you can do it if you work hard at it over time. And so I like that. That part I enjoyed. Not wanting to do the bare minimum. I like that. That's beautiful. What I didn't like, however, was that he veered into the generic, I should say, I love AEW stuff. I'm willing to be here for the fans, and you're not willing to be here for the fans. I champion AEW. You're just an AEW champion. It's like, I could have swore we just went through this with all of these stupid pillars who kept saying the same crap to MJF. You don't really care about AEW. I love me some AEW. AEW saved my life. If it wasn't for Tony Khan, I don't know where I would be. Sammy Guevara cut that promo. Darby Allin cut that promo. Jungle Boy cut that promo. My God, who cares? It's like it was already kind of like a dry concept because people did it to The Rock and they did it to John Cena. It even did a little bit to the Batista. It's like, okay, we get it. You didn't leave, or you do a little bit extra. People don't really appreciate you. You stand up for the company. You love WWE, or you love AEW. We get it. That doesn't tell me why I should care about you. The early part of this promo is why I should care about Ethan Page. That's why I like that part. That part is about his work ethic, his family, what he learned from his father. And that stuff is interesting. His generic love for AEW is like, bro, who cares? You was in Impact 3 years ago. Like your dad was still an immigrant at that point. So we could have just kept it at he's not bare minimum and then moved into this. So the match itself was fine. It was, I believe, better than his match with Tanahashi, that's for sure. MJF wins with the Heat Seeker Power Driver, which I guess he's going to use as his finisher because he used it in that Kip Morse match too, even though he won with a crossface. It was fine. They still doing the little buddy program apparently because Ethan Page is now borrowing moves from the Hardys, and he's been engulfed in a story with the Hardys. So now he's borrowing their moves. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, and I don't really care, if we're being honest. Ethan Page hasn't been on TV nearly enough for this to matter. And MJF's oddly specific, I can beat anybody from Hamilton, Ontario, specifically this town. This one-horse town that we're in. I can beat anybody specifically from here. Was a little generic, too. But overall, I think the match was fine. If they'd have just booked MJF versus Ethan Page and let Ethan Page cut that little part of his promo first, I'd have been a little bit more up for this. Ethan Page, again, has some delivery. He has some level of mic skill. The issue is that he's just bland. There's nothing special about him. He doesn't jump out at you. And that's what you need in wrestling. He's just kind of a generic guy. Either generic heel or generic face. He needs something. He needs to have a gimmick. Something other than Karate Man. Like, I know Jim Cornette's going to lose his mind when he realized that MJF had to spend 15 minutes or 10 minutes in the ring with Karate Man. He's not going to be happy about that. I wasn't happy about it either, but, I mean, it's at least something fresh. So I was willing to give it a break. And also, they're trying to launch something here with Ethan Page, I guess. But he's not visible on the product, so it's not like there was any danger of MJF losing. Second match on the show was an Owen Hart tournament match, which was a lot of this show was Owen Hart tournament matches. Dustin Rhodes versus Powerhouse Hobbs. They did a lot in this match for it to be a Dustin Rhodes match. Look, Dustin Rhodes has no business wrestling Powerhouse Hobbs, if we being honest. He has no business kicking out a Powerhouse Hobbs finisher. We don't need for him to bleed in this match. QT Marshall was in this, for Christ's sake. I mean, why can't we just shoot QT Marshall into the sun? Like, I don't understand why we can't do that. What God do we have to pray to get rid of QT Marshall? For Christ's sake, why is this guy still here? Hobbs don't need him, and nobody else wants him. So why is he still present in these venues? In any event, this match was long as hell. It had no business being as long as it was. Dustin Rhodes was busted open because QT Marshall slammed his head into a ring post. QT Marshall also had to interfere in order for Powerhouse Hobbs to win. Look, I'm all for heels cheating to win, and I've been talking about that a lot lately, is that heels been winning clean too much for me. But in this situation, in this context, Dustin Rhodes not just straight up putting over Powerhouse Hobbs frustrated the hell out of me. The fact that we needed a second spine buster to beat Dustin Rhodes, when he kicked out of the first one at 1, that's Powerhouse Hobbs' finish. He kicked out at 1. What on earth? Why would you allow that to happen? If you had any inkling, any belief whatsoever that Powerhouse Hobbs was something special, you would not book him. You would not book a man in his 50s to kick out of his finisher at 1. You wouldn't do that. But they don't care about Powerhouse Hobbs. He won the match anyway, which was great, but goddamn. Come on, man. The third match on the show was Miro versus Anthony Henry, in which Anthony Henry got entirely too much offense. I don't. Why was he get so much offense? Why couldn't Miro just walk in there and crush him, similar to how MJF crushed that other guy? It's exactly the same situation. Miro, he's a quintessential pro wrestler, man. This guy is really, he stands out. He's got the look down. He's 100% pro wrestler. If he was doing literally anything else, people would be yelling at him to go be a wrestler. Just how built he is, how menacing he looks. If it only wasn't for stuff like Twitch or YouTube, you wouldn't know how silly he was or how goofy he is and all that kind of stuff. You would 100% buy him as a quintessential monster heel. You know, like this guy, he rules. He rules hard. But him getting given even 4 or 5 minutes when Anthony Henry is not doing him any favors. Anthony Henry is an also-ran. The guy's like 40. He's a washout from Evolve, a washout from NXT, a dude who has been on AEW Dark. There's just no reason for him to even last in the ring for a significant amount of time with Anthony Henry. He should have just crushed him, cut a promo, and moved on. You know, to me, sometimes less is more. And if you just had Miro kill this guy, it would have been far more impressive than Miro even selling for him a little bit, because it doesn't really make sense to even do that. All right, so Bullet Club Gold had an extensive promo segment. It was pretty long, actually. It was probably too long. So the Guns are officially now members of Bullet Club Gold. Okay. I guess because they won that match last week, they're officially members now. I'm going to try to streamline this promo. All right, so the Guns said they joined Bullet Club Gold, and Bullet Club Gold asked them to join, rather, because they've been a tag team for 16 months. And in 16 months, they've beaten the Hardys, FTR, other famous tag teams, and won the tag team championships. They're the greatest tag team in AEW, the greatest tag team in the world, and they've only been wrestling for 16 months. So that's why Bullet Club asked them to join. Then they said they moved the microphone over to Jay White, who talked about CM Punk's goodie bag, saying that he likes gold, and dangling gold in front of him is dangerous. And if he thinks that's gold in CM Punk's bag, but if he needs to keep it in his bag if he wants to keep his gold. But he says FTR, him and Juice Robinson, Bullet Club Gold has already beaten FTR. But they're willing to beat them again for the tag team championships. Okay, this is fine. Okay, that's fine. I don't see. Look, I like the Guns' reasoning for joining Bullet Club, or for Bullet Club asking them to join, because that does make sense. I mean, if these guys beat the Hardy Boys, FTR, the Acclaimed, etc., and they've only been a tag team for a year, then they're goddamn prodigies, and you should want them on your side. The issue here that I have is that you have two rival tag teams in one group, you know. And to me, Bullet Club just seems to be, again, it maintains its appearance of you just dump random white dudes in a group. I mean, Juice Robinson isn't white, like he's like half human, half bonobo, so he doesn't really count. But the rest of these dudes is just like white guys, like generic white guys. Of varying talent levels. Don't get me wrong. Like, they're not just nobodies. Like, Jay White can really talk, and the Guns have charisma. He don't have much to say yet, but, you know, and they aren't really that great in the ring yet, but they're coming along. But I don't like the Bullet Club because it just seems like a dumping ground for all the generic white guys that you have in New Japan and AEW, and that just seems like it's trash. You know, it's like the more guys join Bullet Club, the more generic they come out. You know, I don't see how it continues to help people's careers to join Bullet Club. How does it really help your career to be a member of Bullet Club today? That's a question I would really want to ask. You know, how do you make money off the t-shirts? Because who makes money off these t-shirts? Like, how can you? There's so many people wearing these shirts. You can't possibly be making any money off of it. Is it notoriety? How is it notoriety when just about any and everybody with a pair of boots can join Bullet Club? Whether you're a person straight out of the New Japan dojo, or you're a guy who's been in the business for 16 months, or you're a guy who's been there for 10 years. Just about anybody can join Bullet Club. You could be Jeff Jarrett, or you could be some kid on excursion. You can join Bullet Club. So they don't have like stringent standards of who can be in the group. So it's like, how do you really benefit from being in Bullet Club? That would be the question I would have. But nobody asks that question because nobody thinks about it that way. Anyway, I like Jay White's promo. We're going to ignore everything Juice Robinson. CM Punk got on the microphone. They did a backstage thing while Ricky Starks was working out. They told them during this time that Bullet Club Gold was banned from ringside, so Ricky Starks versus Juice Robinson will be fair. At this point, CM Punk got on the microphone, congratulated Jay White on their victory last week, and then said that if he wants his gold, or what he got in his bag, then he should get a replica like MJF did, which is, I thought was funny. He then says that he didn't see Jay White put his name in the hat to be in the Owen Hart tournament. He just hides behind his bodyguards. He says, I don't have bodyguards. I have friends. FTR, Ricky Starks, these are my friends. FTR got on the microphone, said that the Guns are shooting blanks and was willing to fight Bullet Club Gold. Then Ricky Starks says he wants to know what's going to happen to Juice Robinson when Bullet Club Gold is banned. It says the last time they had a match, the same thing's going to happen here. Starks up. All right, so they had the match, and I was very angry, very, very angry at how long I had to suffer Juice Robinson. Juice Robinson is screaming at Orange Cassidy, "You think I can't do this by myself?" I'm like, oh my God. I'm about really, if I was like one of those NXT recruits who was a shot put champion, I'd grab Juice Robinson by his ankle and fling his ass 50 yards away from every arena that I was anywhere near. That would be the only way I would be able to continue in this business. I would have to just get rid of Juice Robinson every time. It'd be like Uncle Phil, just have to grab him by the back of his pants and chuck him out, or grab him by the scruff of his neck like a kitten and toss him. I can't stand this fucking guy, man. And they put him on TV for so long. Like, Juice Robinson is not good enough for you to have like a 15-minute match on TV or whatever. This felt like it was 20 minutes. It probably wasn't. You know, I don't have really good internal clock like that. But it felt like long. It felt long. It felt long as hell. I was so pissed. God, Juice Robinson finally stayed down and the match was over. Ricky Starks wins. Praise God. But we still got to deal with Juice Robinson off and on. So whatever. It's a minor detail that he finally ended the night. After that, Bullet Club Gold encircled the ring, and Punk FTR essentially came up to help, and they ran those guys off. That was all fine and dandy. Look, whatever you say, I don't care. Too much Juice Robinson. I am about to overdose on Juice Robinson. There was so much Juice Robinson on this show. My God, what the fuck? Jesus Christ. Christian Cage is backstage wearing the TNT Championship, and he is interrupted by another sack of waste named Shawn Spears. This fucking guy, who I forgot even still works in AEW, showed up and says that, why are you carrying the title like you're the champion? Christian's, has to explain to him that, you watched us win this, so what are you talking about? Then he says that he doesn't know why Shawn Spears is still there. Shawn Spears doesn't seize his opportunities, and that Shawn Spears is not dangerous. Shawn Spears then says that anybody can be dangerous under the right circumstances, and he just haven't found the right person yet. I was like, oh my God, can this stop? Can you stop, please? First, Ethan Page, who, look, he's not completely and totally useless. he at least can cut a promo. He's bland as a biscuit, but at least he can cut a promo. Juice Robinson, he's on screen for like 20 minutes. What is wrong with you? And then you follow that up with Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears? So we got QT Marshall, Shawn Spears, all on this show. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, what the hell? Oh my Lord, bro. Like, they were scraping the bottom of the barrel for dudes on this show. What? Just add another women's match. If that's what you... I hate that I'm saying this, because, the AEW women, they leave much to be desired, but if that's the choice of me watching some AEW women's match, or being forced to watch Juice Robinson, or QT Marshall, or Shawn Spears, my God, bring on the breasts. I can't deal with this, bro. Like, all of these people are absolute fan repellent. These people are repellent. They have no fans. They're not over. They suck. And some of them have been around for a really long time. They're not good. Why are they still in your program? Moving on. TBS title. Lady Frost versus Chris Statlander. They showed a Lady Frost record and it's 0-2. Why is she getting a championship match if she's 0-2? Come on, man. At least fudge the numbers if you're going to do this. This match felt like it was too long too, but Chris Statlander wins. Okay, sure, whatever. Can't complain. I like Lady Frost for the most part, but I didn't really care about this at all. Chris Statlander is still doing sign language, and nobody's explaining why she's doing sign language. She's just doing it because this is indie wrestling and nothing matters. Andrade El Idolo, look at me, look at me, look at, and he's tripping about his mask. He wants his mask, El Mascara, and he says that he wants it back. House of Black stole it. He wants his mask back. Then he says he wants to see their faces. Where are their faces? Then their faces appear on the screen behind him and tell him all in good time. And then that was it. They stole his mask. He wants his mask back. When he demanded they return it, they said all in good time. And that was it. Look, when it comes to guys stole my stuff storylines, people typically think those are stupid. A lot of people are very I think I saw something recently where the dumbest reasons wrestlers have fought, and it's because Jean-Pierre Lafitte, he stole Bret Hart's jacket. It's like, you wouldn't fight somebody who stole your jacket? You wouldn't be upset about people stealing your jacket? It's not like he smacked your mom or anything like that, but I mean, stealing my stuff, I would think that every average red-blooded male would fight somebody who stole their stuff. So while I'm not thrilled that the storyline is, you stole my mask, at least it's something. At least Andrade's on TV. At least Malachi Black's on TV. Too bad we're stuck with Brody King, because he's a mountain of trash. But he just looks intimidating. He's really a cupcake on the inside. I mean, these wrestlers really kill their own gimmicks, don't they? Especially the AEW ones. Boy, they really put a knife in their own gimmicks. Anyway, the main event of the evening, Samoa Joe versus Roderick Strong. They did a little bit of promo before this where Roderick Strong talked about this. They haven't had a match in 17 years, which is wild. It was in NXT for so long and didn't have a match against each other. That's crazy. But, so this goes back to Ring of Honor, because Ring of Honor is everything to this audience. And so, this match is canon to Ring of Honor. CM Punk did, on commentary, he spent most of the match talking about him fighting Samoa Joe again. Very little of it was about him fighting Roderick Strong again. He talked about people have been telling him for years Joe was going to kill him, and he's still there. Then he says that he came back because he saw the idea of facing one of these guys again. And that's why he returned, because he finds fighting these dudes again so exciting. He also talked about how he had never defeated Samoa Joe before. He's 0-4 or 0-3 against Samoa Joe. They had a very solid match, Joe and Roderick Strong. You know, it was just a really good wrestling match. And Joe wins with the coquina clutch, referee stoppage. And they did something that I thought maybe was a little over the top, because they decided to put Roderick Strong on a stretcher. And since they put him on the stretcher, Samoa Joe goes outside the ring. He gets a chair. He's gonna do some damage to Roderick Strong. The security guys stop him from using the chair, so he puts the chair down. He then runs into the ring and picks him up and slams him, kicks him, some stuff like that. CM Punk jumps into the ring. Joe flees, leaves the ring. So now we do this big dramatic piece where Adam Cole runs to the ring to check on Roderick Strong, and CM Punk is in the ring looking at Roderick Strong like, oh my God, this could be my future, because I have to fight Samoa Joe next in the tournament. It was an interesting bit. It didn't feel particularly strong, because unless you care about all this Ring of Honor stuff, are you really invested in the well-being of Roderick Strong? I'm not. I don't care about Roderick Strong at all, So it didn't bother me. And plus, it's not like they did something to Roderick Strong where it will require a stretcher. Like if he did like a muscle buster through a table or something like that, maybe I could see a stretcher spot being important. But just because he was in a chokehold for a little while, I mean, this is wrestling, Unless you're on a New York City subway, a chokehold ought to be fine afterwards. All right. So this is it was good. It was a good match. Punk was on commentary. He actually added something. It seemed like there was more like pushing one match than the entirety of the concept that he could be wrestling anybody. And that was generally it. So Collision again was straightforward. It had a lot of bums on this show. So it lacked star power. It lacked a punch, I think. So, but next week it should be stronger, because I believe Punk and Joe are wrestling next week. So they'll be, continuing, hopefully, the Bullet Club Gold thing. It's interesting that they decided to do Punk and Joe in the second round of the tournament and not try to do it for the final. That's a very interesting decision. So my question is, what's the final? Is the final going to be Punk and Hobbs? Is that the goal, or Punk and Starks? Like, what's the goal here? And it seems like they're using the tournament to rekindle old feuds, because Hobbs has to wrestle Starks and Punk has to wrestle Joe, and that seems to be the direction that they're going in. Is going to have rekindle these two old feuds, and that's fine. I guess there wasn't much in the way of finality to Starks and Hobbs, so this is just like another element to their feud. So this is all good. I mean, the show was, at some parts it felt like a 2-hour Dynamite. So other parts it felt like a Rampage. I don't think they have quite figured out what they want to do with Collision yet. I think they just decided, if we put CM Punk on his own show, give him multiple segments, and build the show around him, people will like it. And if you are like a moderate CM Punk fan, or you're kind of low on CM Punk, you will hate this show, because it's mostly CM Punk. It's stuff he's doing. If you are a high CM Punk fan, you probably enjoyed it, because he was all over the show in multiple capacities, and he's integrated. He's got his own rogues gallery on this Collision show. But otherwise, there's not much else going on. MJF making an appearance is nice, because MJF is rarely on television. At the same time, though, he complained about being there, and then he was stuck with Ethan Page for, 10 minutes, 12 minutes or whatever. So that didn't help matters at all either. It's not like MJF actually did anything on this show. Miro, he was on the show. He didn't do anything except, sell for Anthony Henry, which he had no business doing. Andrade was on the show. Look at me. He was on this show, but he didn't do nothing but yell about his mask. Malachi didn't do nothing but whisper in Andrade's ear. So it was like, they have names on here, but these guys don't do anything, you know? But we got a break from Bullet Club Gold and FTR and all that kind of stuff, so they can double down on it next week. So next week should be better, you know, hopefully. What do you guys think? Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.